Welcome back to the Boomer Bust podcast. Massive weekend in the NFL, and with me to discuss it, a lot to get through tonight, is Kieran. Kieran, how you doing?
I'm good. Another great weekend of NFL action. Plenty to talk about, plenty to get through, so let's get stuck into it.
Absolutely. We're here again at the G4 studio. G4 claims we're really appreciative of them having us again. Brilliant studio. Unreal to be talking football here, eh?
Absolutely, no better place for it. Like we put up during the week, the wee advert showing everyone what the facilities are like here. So make sure you go and check them out. And also, notatfaultclaim.com. All the information's there. We'll put the link in the bio as well and in the description.
Let's get right into it. Big weekend as well for our fantasy league. Now, the Miami Scoop Fins, my team, registered their first victory. A lot of pressure on me, a lot of pressure on the coach. We got that victory over the line. Kieran, also a big win for you.
It's looking that way. I'm roughly about 53 points ahead of Roberto at the moment. In all fairness to him, he's not had the greatest week. He's got Tony Pollard still to play tonight. We're recording this on a Monday night, so it'll be out on Tuesday morning. So unfortunately, we'll know the score by then. But I think I'm home and dry on that one. So I'll go 2-1 in the league, which should probably put me around about mid-table.
I mean, I'm the same. I shouldn't have jumped the gun because I've not officially won. But it's very narrow. But I've still got my kicker, Brett Maher, to play tonight. But as I've said before, it doesn't Maher what he does.
Oh. Well, it couldn't be worse than what Roberto done. He traded and got in Khalil Herbert during the week, and for some reason dropped him to the waivers. And he went on to score over 30 points. But we'll touch on that as we go.
We'll go in it. First of all, let's get right into it on the boomer bust side. Let's pick a boom and a bust from each of our teams. Kieran, you want to go first? Who's your boom for the week?
My fantasy boom is the absolute fantasy football dreamboat, Lamar Jackson. He's done it for me again. 44 points last week, 39.42 points for me this week, 218 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 107 rushing yards, and he's the first player in NFL history with 3 passing touchdowns and 100 rushing yards in consecutive games. So that is why Lamar Jackson is my fantasy boomer this week. What a player.
I know, 2 weeks in a row, unreal for you. For me, it's Devin Singletary. He's always been a steady one in my team that's got us a few points, but racked up 24.10 points, rushed 9 times for 13 yards and brought in 9 of 11 targets for 78 and then 1 touchdown as well. So despite a loss, it was a very positive day for him, and he played a huge part in my win.
See, this is the thing, right? I know he's come up trumps this week, but he's probably not done it the previous weeks for him. I right in saying when we played last week, he didn't really turn up.
Yeah.
I feel like every running back that I've listened to in podcasts or we've spoke about, there's not been a standout running back that folk were talking about. Mm-hmm. Now the flip side of that would be James Robinson. He's probably the only one I'm looking at just now I think he's sitting at RB6 for fantasy football at the moment. He's the only one, and nobody would have said this. Everybody had the name Travis Etienne on their lips, and James Robinson's just been unbelievable, even for my team. Joe Mixon is one of the best running backs in the whole league. He's not scored a single touchdown yet.
I mean, you're right, and at the start, before the season started, we spoke about how important quarterbacks could be, and you said that there's a few examples in there where heavy points are coming from the quarterbacks, and as you said, sometimes it's the running backs that aren't really providing on that side, or the ones we expected to provide the points aren't doing it. So it just shows you.
They're your big currency, and I know what we're going to next, and you're going to ask me who my fantasy bust is.
Yep.
Najee Harris, man.
He's frustrating you, eh?
Oh my God. I've been trying to get a wee bit more active in Reddit. I absolutely love Reddit, and there was a post up the other day saying, coming into week 3, which players are basically pushing you to the edge? Who are you thinking about? Right, I need to try and move them on. And I thought, right, I'm going to comment here. And I said, Najee Harris is frustrating the life out of me. And I woke up to 254 upvotes. So I'm not the only one. I know this is a popular choice. First week, 10.6 points. Yep. Second week, 13.5 points. This week, 13.1. It's not good enough for a bell cow running back that handles near enough every single snap at a struggling Steelers team. the fumble towards the end of the game could have been very costly. I know reading the comments on Twitter and things like that where people had a lot of spread bets on that lost them, like over £2,500. Some of them, crazy stuff, but no. I think he'll come good. I'm willing to hold on to him. When you look at his stats last year, it took him a wee while to warm up and get going, but I just need a bit more from him.
Yep. For me, my bust is, and I feel bad saying this, but it's the cheetah, Tyreek Hill. It's ironic considering the result went the opposite way, that my boom is from the Bills and my bust is from the Dolphins. But for me, the key players didn't really do a lot in my team, to be honest with you. I don't really blame them for that, because I think the Dolphins offense spent only 19 minutes on the field in total, so the opportunities were few and far between. I'm not by any means criticising the guy, because I think he will bounce back next week. They've got the Bengals, this week coming, so I think he will bounce back. But as I said, Tyreek Hill, I could also put Kamara in there, didn't really come up with big points for me. So I was relying on guys that I really didn't expect, like Singletary, to come out with the goods. So Tyreek Hill, I've got to put down as my bust this week.
Yeah, Kamara there you mentioned as well. There's another one.
Yep.
We tipped heavily. He's not done it yet. I know he's got a rib injury and whatnot, but he's not done it. This guy was a fantasy superstar, like as much a couple of years ago. Maybe not last season. He was okay last season. He won you the league when, what was it, the 5 touchdown game?
Yeah.
He was unbelievable, but even he's not done it. But I want to ask you about another running back in your team that keeps creeping up every week, and it looks like he's gone now. Cam Akers, tell me what's happened there.
I just decided to just get him out.
Right, so tell me this, right, and I'm maybe luring you into a wee trap here. Who have you brought in?
I've got no idea, you tell me.
Right, okay, I noticed this before we came on there, that Shug had dropped Cam Akers, his pet hate, and he brought in Emmanuel Sanders. Now, I think he might have missed the news, but Emmanuel Sanders has retired, and he's now one of the hosts of Good Morning Football. I'm just not sure you're going to get many points for Good Morning Football.
First of all, I just looked at the list and took the highest one up on there, because I just wanted Akers out, to be honest with you. I was doing my waivers business this morning as well, so, and I think put in some decent claims in there, but I stand by my choice. I'd rather a presenter than Akers, to be honest, because he's been poisonous in that dressing room.
You had to get him out.
Aye, he had to go.
Aye, he had to go. So he's out of there now, which is good.
Had to go.
I might pick him up though.
Don't.
He's a poison chalice.
He is. Don't touch him. Anyway, let's get into the games from this week. A few big ones, some massive ones. Let's start with the Colts. Massive win. Neither has seen it coming. Both of us predicted Chiefs, I believe, last week. First week, talking about Chiefs, it's a great win for the Colts, but talking about the Chiefs, possibly the first week, for me, maybe painted a false picture of where they are. It still looks as if they're finding the right balance. You know, maybe missing Hill a wee bit from that offense, trying to find the right mix. Could it have been a kind of false dawn? We got ahead of ourselves and thought they're looking better than last year, I think we said at the start, but majorly struggled here. Even last week, they weren't great.
Yeah, the Colts have done a number on them.
Yep.
I think when we done our predictions on Thursday, the two of us were, and if this show was any super popular, we'd be getting clipped up just now, because I think we were like, right, Colts against the Chiefs, we'll breeze past that one. The Colts are trash. Yep. But no, they went 7 up early doors, seemed to hold on to it, seemed to grind it out. I mean, I had Juju Smith-Schuster for the Chiefs. He was the most targeted player for the Chiefs, which I'm quite happy about. Still didn't produce any more than, I think it was 13.9 points, which isn't good enough for the biggest target at the Chiefs. In terms of the Chiefs' shock result, they'll recover from it. But when I look, I'll give another wee secret here away to the guys in the league, that I stream my defence every week. So for anyone that's new to fantasy football, basically means that I don't keep the same defence for the full season. I'll look for who I think is the weakest team. Their quarterback's going to get sacked, he might throw a lot of picks. And I picked up the Chiefs' defence for this week, thinking the Colts are terrible. I'm so surprised at how well they've done here. Yep. It's a great result for them, but I don't know. I can't see them doing much this season at all.
No, I'm the same. Moving on, then we'll look at the Dolphins. Let's not wait about. Let's get into those Dolphins. Massive win. That's another one. I mean, you predicted them to win last week, I think. You went for them.
Yeah, I thought all the momentum was with the Bills, but with momentum a lot of the time comes complacency.
Yep.
And the Dolphins, man, I just loved watching the Dolphins last week, and I loved them again this week. I thought Tua was unbelievable again until the obvious happened to him.
Yep. And I didn't think it was a vintage performance. I thought complacency is a good word to describe the Bills, to be honest with you. Very sloppy performance from them, both sides. I think they were missing a few in defence, weren't they?
That's right. I think what they said, the 5 players they had in their backfield had a combined total of 3 NFL appearances before this game.
Yeah, but again, I don't think it was really their defence that lost them the game. I think it was more like a sloppy offence that kind of killed them. I mean, it's not as if, as we spoke about with Hill, I know Waddle had a decent day, but it wasn't as if the Dolphins had this, tremendous offensive performance. So I don't think it was. I think everybody predicted that Dolphins could possibly do a bit of damage there because, as we spoke about, the guys that were missing, but it wasn't that way. It was more the offence were really sloppy.
Yeah. I think as well, though, it was a mixture of everything. They managed to keep Diggs very quiet. Diggs last week was one of the best performances we've seen this season. Like I said, I think it's a toss-up between him and Justin Jefferson for who's been the best wide receiver this season so far. We'll get to Jefferson soon. But in terms of the Dolphins, they just seem to work them out. I talk about Gabe Davis quite often. Once again, it was hardly in the game. I think he was targeted 5 times. Isaiah McKenzie seemed to get the ball a lot more. But no, the credit to the Dolphins, they've come up trumps, and I think they'll kick on, they'll do well. But one thing they did try to do was put the ball right up the blocker's arse, and that could have shot it right in the foot.
Mad ending to it. But I mean, I think we touched on it a couple of weeks ago when Chicago played in those rainy conditions. The heat did play some sort of part. I mean, I think I was hearing that Diggs was cramping up a bit. I do think the heat did play a part in it. But listen, Dolphins now 3-0. Do we start to dream?
Let me tell you this. I know this is going out tomorrow morning and the game's not being played tonight, but at the moment there's 3 undefeated teams. Dolphins, Eagles, Giants. Who would have thought?
I know.
Who would have thought? Here we are.
And then the last thing I'll touch on from this game, because I don't want to dwell on it too much, but you said it, Tua. We've kind of spoke about him a lot. I said at the start of the season, I kind of backed him, but it was more, a lot it was in hope, just that he'd do well. He deserves that respect now, doesn't he? He probably doesn't get enough respect, but he keeps passing tests week after week.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't a tremendous offensive performance. I know it wasn't a perfect performance, but he's got the job done against the Bills.
Yeah, he has, and he looked good again. His throwing was excellent. Like you said as well, what was it? They spent 19 minutes on the field.
Yep.
I heard some crazy stat earlier on that I think the Bills had 98 passing attempts compared to the Dolphins 39. So he's making the most of what he's got. He's doing very, very well in there if he can keep fit. I don't know if we'll see him next week. I think he might go into concussion protocol. I know they try to blame it on his back and bring him back on. It's scary to watch. Like, it's never nice to see that. To me, if that's your back, you're not coming back on.
Yeah.
If you're buckling at the legs and it's a back injury, you're not coming back on.
Yeah.
Or there's something crazy going on in the dressing room that he probably shouldn't be taking. Don't quote me on that. I'm surmising. That's not fact whatsoever before we get empathy at the Dolphins coming in here and suing me. But that's a head injury. That's a concussion.
Yeah.
He could be missing.
I was shocked to see him back. But anyway, moving on. The Jags defeating the Chargers. Couple of stats there. The Jags had never beat the Chargers on the road. Also, the Jags hadn't won a back-to-back games since 2019. Kieran, any takeaways from that? Any key players? One I kind of thought about was Zay Jones. What's your thoughts on that, or any other players you want to?
Zay Jones currently on a lot of waiver wires at the minute. I think he'll be a target. But Christian Kirk again, one of your guys, fantastic. Trevor Lawrence, like we're talking about two there. Lawrence looks a business as well. He played unbelievable. And this wasn't 38-10 as in the Chargers had to go for it and then they've run away with it. They were every play, boom, 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 knocked the Chargers out the game. My only thing was as well, and I know we spoke about it, producer Greg here is a big Chargers fan, we'll speak about it in the chat. Why did they not pull Herbert earlier? Game was over. The guy's got a rib cartilage injury, which is an extremely painful injury. and he took a few hits. The Chargers lost a lot of key players. It looks like Bosa's going to spend some time out as well. Lawrence is hanging in there. But in terms of the Jags, they looked brilliant. They looked unbelievable.
Yeah.
Chargers, again, I think they're still missing Keenan Allen. But it's a tough defeat for the Chargers. Puts a dent in their season with injuries as well. But the Jags looked good. They are starting to turn the screw a bit. And yeah, I really like Christian Kirk there. Yeah. But we've spoken about him already. James Robinson. Who would have thought?
I know.
Brilliant. He's been unbelievable. But they look the real deal.
I know. Moving on, the Bucks losing to the Packers. And one interesting thing I want to talk about is the Beehive pre-match and the goals. So, Kieran, there was a buzz about the place, but the Bucks end up getting stung.
Oh my God. How, did I miss this? How did they get rid of it?
I've got no. What I found bizarre, and I don't know about how quickly bees come about or whatever, but I found it wild how they just noticed it before the kickoff. Like,
it was on a microphone.
How do you not notice that? Like at the start, like in the morning when folk are checking the stadium. Is it? I don't know how. As I said, I'm no expert, but it just seemed strange that just suddenly this hive of massive amount of bees appeared on the field like right before the game.
I'd love. Why did they not give us footage of someone removing this? Or did they remove it?
You would hope so. Winnie the Pooh was on.
Health and safety hazard. Imagine Tom Brady gets stung. Stung for a safety.
Aye.
But nah, the Bucks just are not good to watch at the moment.
Nah. They've been getting by, they've been getting the results, but up until then they've done okay, but nah, they just didn't produce, did they? But
nah, if you've got Brady as well in your fantasy team, this guy's usually a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He's not done it at all yet. You're struggling. I think his floor's about 8 at the moment.
Yep.
And his ceiling is maybe about 12, 13. That's not good enough, but for him, he's heavy on Leonard Fournette just now. And in all fairness, he was missing a lot of receivers. I know we spoke about Russell Gage before we came in here.
Yeah.
Probably his only target there, with Godwin being out, Jones being out, Evans been suspended, and Cole Beasley turned up. Yeah. Good signing for them. He'll not rip up trees, but he'll do his job as a slot receiver. But yeah, the Bucks, they've done all right. Ugly is ugly again, but it's good to see maybe Rodgers and Brady for the last time, unless they meet again in the playoffs, but two of the greatest.
Absolutely.
And as well, we spoke about cramping in the heat earlier. Did you see Alan Lazard been sick? He's been on a drink.
Aye, surely. Anyway, moving on, the Browns defeating the Steelers. Kieran, I think last week you went for the Steelers in this one. What do you think of that game?
I don't know. I'm just not sold on either team yet. Yep. I know as well, like, my predictions aren't too great. I think I voted to sit Amari Cooper. Mm-hmm. He's turning out to be a very good signing for the Browns. He's done well there. The Steelers, I've had my moan about Najee Harris. That last play at the end was horrible. Mitch Trubisky he's trash, he's rotten. Yeah. But the one-handed catch,
brilliant.
That's right up there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Better than OBJ's?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, aye.
Yeah, and that's entertainment. That's why we watch it.
Exactly.
The athleticism of these guys to pull them in. If we were to try that, we'd end up in the hospital.
Maybe do that for a challenge at the end of the season.
Oh, for God's sake.
Next, moving on, Panthers defeating the Saints. This one for me was a bad one. The fantasy, as I touched on, Landry injured, Kamara only offered me up 7.30 points. Saints aren't really doing it either, are they?
They're not, and it's not looking good for them. And a confession as well, I kept Chris Olave on my bench. He scored 25 points. But the good side, and I don't know how to say this, is that Michael Thomas has injured his foot again. Looks like Landry's injured again.
Yep.
Olave's starting to get going. Very, very good rookie wide receiver. So I'm going to hold on to him as much as I can. He's going to start next week, but I don't know. I can't believe they've been beat off the Panthers. I don't see the Panthers being a great team.
Nah.
Back to the running back thing is, again, Christian McCaffrey. Another poor fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. He's just not done it as well. And he was the number 2 overall pick in our draft for Drew. And
I thought he was he number 2? I thought he was number 1.
Number 1 was Jonathan Taylor. Martin took Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, Chris McCaffrey's not done it there at all. No. I can't remember anyone being really relevant, but I remember watching Red Zone and thinking they've hardly showed that Panthers Saints game. I know it's finished 22-14 there. Snorefest.
It's like I wasn't really, as I said, it didn't really pop up. I didn't really catch a lot of just wee bits, but it's that way. A lot of the Saints games, I'm looking at my fantasy points and saying when are they got to come alive, and it just doesn't seem to be happening just now.
Yeah, a wee bit like I'm saying Mitch Trubisky. I'm not buying Jameis Winston at all.
Nah, I've got him in mind, but I benched him. He's just, I think it was maybe 14 points he came up with yesterday there, which he's not great. No,
he loves to throw a pick, so we'll be seeing him on a waiver wire this week.
Yep, he could be out there. Moving on, the Bears beating the Texans, close game. I think Chicago's defence really stepped up. Running game was okay. Passing game wasn't great. Khalil Herbert, one of the stars of the day, on the negative as he took over from David Montgomery Burns. Finished the game with 20 carries for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's one to look out for the waivers as well in this week.
Absolutely. I don't know why he wasn't drafted in more leagues as well. Didn't we speak about it this time last week? And we said that they're a run-first offence.
Yep.
Daniel Mooney's not seen the ball at all. They don't seem to want to throw it. They want to run the ball right down the opposition's throat, is what I'm looking to say there.
Yep.
David Montgomery now injured, and we started to see Khalil Herbert being introduced more in a snap share with Montgomery. Now that he's injured, he's going to get the lion's share of the snaps, and if you get him off your waivers, you're laughing. I don't know how long Montgomery's out for. Let's put that into perspective as well. We're not quite sure the extent of his injury, but Khalil Herbert over 30 points. He's sitting on our waivers at the moment. I don't think he's going to be sitting there for long, but when he looks good and he smells good and he passes that eye test, Khalil Herbert is a serious player.
Yeah, agreed.
He's very good.
Agreed.
But the Bears, grinding it out.
Good win for them.
Texans looked okay.
Aye.
But the Bears again, they grind it out.
Absolutely. Next one going on to the Falcons beating the Seahawks. I think again it's one we predicted. For me, Patterson brought him in last week with a good little bit of business for once.
Roberto
and it's worked out very well for me.
It's like there's a wee bit of collusion here that he's like Roberto stung himself in the foot. You've stripped him of one of his better running backs for 2 wide receivers.
Yep,
that's unusual.
It was a wide receiver that I brought in through the waivers before he'd play the game, traded him plus Shepherd, and then brought in 2 guys that I thought would improve my starting lineup, and Patterson's just went straight in there. And
David Dickinson. But once again, this is what you get with Patterson as well. We play in a full PPR league. He's a pass catcher. So he can play wide out, he can play as a running back, he can even play as a returner. This is what you're going to get. He's a jack of all trades, and he's starting to get going. I'll be blatantly honest, I couldn't see him having a season like he did last season, but he's starting to get going again. And Marcus Mariota, starting to look good with the legs, okay with his completions, but the Falcons look good. The Falcons look all right. 27-23. I say the same about Mariota as I say about Geno Smith. Looked good. He did look good. Yeah. Starting to bring Lockett into things as well. DK Metcalf, very good. Kenneth Walker, wee bit of a quiet game. Seems to be sharing things with Rashad Penny there. But now the Falcons look okay.
Yeah. Next one, I don't want to spend too long on. 49ers beating Broncos 11-10. Did you stay up for this one?
I was going to.
Glad you didn't.
And then I seen how Russell Wilson started the game.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks terrible. This is a guy's 5-star entertainment in his Seahawks days. This isn't the same Russell Wilson. I know they're trying to work it out in the offense. It's not going to be this bad all the time.
Yeah.
The Broncos fans expect a lot, and there was a lot of them in attendance in San Francisco, but it was just awful again. Jimmy Garoppolo as well. Like, he's a meme today, because I know like Dan Orlovsky's made a big thing of it when he done the thing where he ran for the safety when they were trying to get back in the game. Yep. He's done it as well through a pick six. And this is what you get with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's the superb to the sublime, to the absolute seriously stupid.
Yeah.
A lot of S's in there. But this we'll not stay on this too long. 11-10, Snorefest. No idea how it was prime time.
Absolutely. Ravens beating the Pats as well, Kieran. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, a lot to take from this one. We've already spoke about my guy, Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Number one quarterback in the league right now. This guy's playing for a huge contract, and it shows.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous. He epitomises the modern quarterback at the moment. He can do it with he can do it with his legs, he can do it with his hands. He's got everything. He's got absolutely everything. And this is a guy that's slagged for being a running back turned quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a superstar. If he can stay fit, the Ravens could really do something. This game, Devin Duvernay really turned up. And the sad side of it was the injury to Mac Jones. I think that pretty much knocks the Pats out for doing anything this year, considering that Brian Hoyer is maybe going to step in there for the next 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, again, touching on the quarterbacks, you talked about it with Jackson. He's fighting for that new contract. You compare that to the game we've just spoke about with the Broncos, where Wilson's got that stability. It's sometimes a hard balance where you're better having that stability, where somebody's settled, where they're enjoying where they are, the team knows where they stand, or if you've got a guy with a fire in his belly.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it works out the other way, though, to be fair. Sometimes it goes the opposite way. They don't have that sort of, as I said, stability in there. And
you've got to remember as well the sport that they play. Look at Dak Prescott, only, 18 months ago?
Yep.
Was playing for a contract, gets that horrible leg break, maybe a bit more than 18 months ago, it's a horrible leg break. And then they didn't know if he would get that franchise tag or kept on with the big contract at the Cowboys. And in all fairness to the Cowboys, they stuck by their guy. He got his contract. I hope that he leaves the Ravens. Yeah. There's something about me, because I think I'd love to see him at the Giants. I don't think for a second we'd have the cap space to pay that sort of contract, but he's going to make, if he can do that at that Ravens team, he'll make any team a challenger. He's unbelievable. Yeah,
absolutely. Look at our next game, the Vikings defeating the Lions, coming back from 24-14. I think that was in the fourth quarter. It was 24-14.
That's right, yeah.
Great comeback, big win for them. Very good game. Our boy, our last week's guest, Troy, will be delighted at that result.
He will. And the invisible man, Adam Thielen, came to life.
Yep.
He's done well there. I will say this, though, and I've been banging the drum the past few weeks, the Lions look the real deal.
Yeah.
They really do. I know they've now got injuries to, I think it's DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown, which could sort of halt their progress this season. They've took a defeat here. I don't know the extent of the injuries, but in terms of the Lions, they've kept Justin Jefferson quiet. Mm-hmm. And once again, we spoke about Diggs being quiet. Justin Jefferson, non-existent. We could have put him in the fantasy bus if I had him in my team, but no, I really like the look of the Lions, but the Vikings, a wee bit of a surprise. I'm not. Dalvin Cook, bit quiet again. Yep. Once again, back to the original point at the start of the show.
Yep.
He's one of your top running backs in fantasy football, and he's not done it. Alexander Mattison might be a sneaky good pickup in the waivers, but no, that's what I'm looking at there. But a good win for the Vikings, no doubt.
Absolutely. Moving on, Bengals beating the Jets 27-12. It was a must-win game for the Bengals after starting 0-2. Strong offensive performance. They were aggressive from the start, and Joe Burrow back to looking like his old self, to be honest. Do you think, Kieran, he started last season pretty much exact same, 2 poor games and a blowout win in week 3. Do you see the same thing happen? Do you see them now kicking on, or what do you think?
Yes and no. Like, Burrow's carrying that team. He seems to be getting hit more than any other quarterback in the league. The O-line might be one of the worst in the league for a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. And I think it's fair to say they lost the Super Bowl because the O-line was that bad.
Yeah.
It's just as bad this year. He seems to be getting hit a lot, and that's not good, especially for a guy that came off the start of last season with a serious knee injury.
Yep.
It's not good, but I really wish he would just get Joe Mixon in the game. He could be the best running back in football if he got going, but I think he must be carrying an injury. I think he's carrying an ankle injury, and in that case, you're looking all over the field there. You're starting to look like your guys like Jamar Chase. T. Higgins looks like he's injured as well, so that's another one. But yeah, I hope to see the Bengals kick on. I just don't know. I just don't see that sort of momentum that they had last year. I think that's the best word to use for them. But good win to get them back on track. In terms of the Jets, I think they need Zach Wilson back as soon as possible. Get Garrett Wilson in the game again. Moore seemed to feature a wee bit more this week. But in terms of your waivers, there's going to be guys looking, especially Mac Jones owners. I know he won't be heavily drafted within many leagues. Zach Jones might be out in quite a lot of leagues, so good pick up on your waivers there.
Yeah. Next one, Titans narrowly beating the Raiders. Raiders are a team that are really struggling just now, aren't they? 0-3. They are. We just every week I think I say this will be the week they kick on. I know we're still early in the season, but they're just not producing, are they? And like the likes of Devontae Adams, you thought he would be really tearing it up just now, and it's just really not happening for them, is it?
No, not at all. Like, you named the main man himself, Devontae Adams. You bring a guy like that in, you're looking to be a Super Bowl contender. Yeah, that is a serious signing. One of the best wide receivers in football. I think myself and Drew actually had him in the cooking for a touchdown yesterday. Did he get a touchdown? Let me check this out. I don't think he did. I think he was one of the ones we were waiting on. Let's go over this. But no, the boy Hollins got more targets than anybody. And once again, he's sitting third for projection on waivers this week. He's wide receiver 72. He scored a total of 29.96 points yesterday. He'll be a very good pickup. 8 receptions, 158 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Yep. So Matt Collins, very good pickup in waivers. I think everyone's going to be all over him. And get this, he's rostered in 0.3% of leagues. That's unbelievable. 0.1% of folk that had him started him. Yeah. So let's see Adams. How did he look yesterday? I actually think he got a touchdown. So Adams still sitting as wide receiver 12 for the league yesterday. 14.2 points, which isn't the worst. And yeah, 1 receiving touchdown, I was right. But you expect a bit more production out of him.
Absolutely.
You're expecting Diggs and Jefferson production on a good day from Adams. But no, Hollins there just seems to be getting targeted more than anybody. I don't know why. But no. Derek Carr just doesn't look good at all. No,
I think especially towards the end, he just couldn't come up with the goods, could he?
Yeah, and on the other side, Big Derrick Henry's getting going again.
Yep.
He's starting to look back to himself. I think with the foot injury he's got, and you look at his build and how he plays the game, and these foot injuries are quite hard to come back to, if I'm right in saying it was a Liz Frank injury. So he's starting to get going again. Henry's one of the most exciting players to watch. So it's good. It's good to see that, but I hope he slows down for when I come up against him.
Final game we're going to talk about, Eagles beating the Commanders. We expected, didn't we? Eagles are soaring against a team that we said was absolutely dug meat at the start, the Commanders. We probably were being a bit harsh saying they were dug meat, but not great, are they?
No, look,
not great.
I think I predicted it last week again that Carson Wentz would fall off a cliff.
Yep.
I think he scored 6.78 points, and for a quarterback, you'd really want to be seeing double figures at very least. Yeah. I've got Curtis Samuel, my team, he tended to do all right, but they really didn't do much at all, the Commanders. 8 points is nothing, but the Eagles, my God, they're looking good. Jalen Hurts is on fire. Absolutely. Sitting the third best quarterback in fantasy football just now. Another confession of mine, I've got Devonta Smith on my bench. Scored over 30 points. Looks like he's going to be the highest wavered player in fantasy football this week. I stashed him, kept him on my bench. He gets 0 points in week 1. Started to get going in week 2. I didn't quite have the trust with him. Kept him on my bench for now. But once again, starting next week, Devonta Smith was unbelievable. So yeah, the Eagles go to 3-0. I'm really hoping for a Giants win tonight. I hope by the time this goes out tomorrow morning, we're 3-0 as well. So that's a huge divisional win for the Eagles, who they look the business. They look good.
Yeah. It's good to touch on that. I know we done our predictions last week, but you're still feeling confident about the Giants for tonight then?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we stop the run, Tony Pollard has looked better than Ezekiel Elliott. I think we predicted that at the start of the season as well. I'm starting to sound like we're Mystic Meg in here. I'm only saying this because we get so much wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to quote the ones that we get right. It's kind of like your mate that wins all the coupons.
Aye.
And it's like he'll only tell you about the ones he wins. That's what we're feeling like this week. But no, Tony Pollard looks good there. If we can stop the run, then I think we'll do good. Cooper Rush is okay. CD Lamb hasn't exactly ripped up trees. They're not going to play Michael Gallup, which is a bonus for the Giants. The Giants are winning ugly, similar to what we spoke about the Bucks earlier. We're grinding out the results, and hopefully we can do the same tonight. The white uniforms and the white out in the crowd should be a spectacle.
Yeah. I mean, and that's after week 3. What's the teams we spoke about? The teams that went 3-0: Eagles, potentially Giants, and Dolphins. Anybody from early on in the season standing out to you now as candidates, as who's going to have a really big season? I know it's very, very early to say, but is there any of those teams or anybody else that you've really looked at you didn't think that you're now starting to think, you know what, this maybe more than just a positive start?
Like a slight dark horse?
Yeah.
Dolphins, why not? Like, Howe looks at business. Waddle looks just equally as good. Maybe not so much getting it going in the run game. I know Chase Edmonds looked good yesterday as well. I had tipped last week that Raheem Mostert would do well.
Yeah.
He did get the lion's share of the snaps, but Edmonds got the touchdowns. I think he got 2 rushing touchdowns. They look the business as long as Tua can stay fit. If Tua's not the man at quarterback, then I think things will slide away, but you can't discount the Bills at all.
I was about to say that. On the other side, we both predicted the Bills to go all the way this year. After one bad performance, I'm not changing that at all. I think they are still a dominant team. I think it's probably a bad day at the office, probably weather came into it. I'm still predicting they do very... I still think they'll go all the way. As you know, in this sport, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be writing them off yet. But you're absolutely right. Dolphins, I predicted to do well, but I was feeling modest when we started this podcast. But as it went on, I started to more kind of look into their team and believe a wee bit more. But for them to go 3-0 after a very, very hard start to the season, where a lot of people would have predicted it would be the other way, they'd be 0-3 by this stage.
Tough start, yeah.
A lot of people would have predicted that.
They've beat 2 good teams. Ravens are going to be up there. Ravens do look good. Who would have thought with their receiving core and their run game that they would be in amongst it as well? I think they're 2-1 now. The Ravens are going to be in amongst it. Who else do I like? In fact, I feel like we do this every week, specifically because I write the rundown. We forgot the Rams beating the Cardinals 20-12.
Oh.
Cardinals looked terrible.
I know. It
looked again like Kyler Murray could have pulled it out the bag in the last quarter. Him and Marquise Brown are getting going, which looks good. They'll get DeAndre Hopkins back in week 8. So Marquise Brown still remains there as the standout wide receiver 1. But the Rams starting to get going again. Stafford looked okay, but once again, Cooper Kupp, ridiculous.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. Yep. So the Rams are going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
There was one point Aaron Donald was coming through and he was about to sack Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray's seen him. He's just thrown the ball away, and it's like, you see that guy coming towards you, you know it could be lights out. Can't blame the guy.
Oh, I know. Moving on, let's talk a wee bit of kind of other things that are coming up around the NFL. One massive thing is NFL London. Now, both of us have attended previously. It's a great spectacle, isn't it? They're giving you a real taste at NFL. They really make a big deal about it, and it's huge again. It's ever growing, isn't it?
Yeah, we'd done a show on it at the start of the season saying there's got to be scope for more American football here.
Yeah.
Whether it's a team or whether it's bringing back some sort of expansion league that includes us over here, there is a real thirst for it. These games are sold out. I know that tickets keep popping up every now and again from what I read in these NFL UK groups that I'm in on Facebook. But no, like that's got the makings of a good game as well. The Saints versus the Vikings.
Yeah.
Both of them not off to the greatest starts, but it could be very good games. You've got Justin Jefferson coming to London. It's got all the makings of a good game. Yeah,
and it's all the events as well they do alongside it. They do make a big fuss out of it, and it's brilliant, as you said, for all those in the UK. It gives you the opportunity to travel down to go to the games. I know. I think it was the Dolphins Saints we went to a few years ago. Right. I think we were at the same game, and
we got to see Drew Brees.
Exactly, and it's as I said, it's not a diluted product. It's the proper during the season game, proper game you're seeing. It's a real product, and you're right. There's absolutely an appetite for it, and it will just continue to grow.
Yeah, and it's like you say, the events before it, the full Saturday, you've got Regent Street and they've got everything going on with the stuff going on in the stage. I think I got my picture with the Vince Lombardi Trophy the last time.
Yep.
and it was packed, absolutely packed, and then the stadium was packed out. You had the tailgating before it. Once again, maybe not quite the tailgating you get over in the States, but as it's fun, it gives you a real taste for it, and there is scope for something like this here.
Yeah, and as you kind of touch on the stuff that's going around about the stadium, you don't actually have to have a ticket to get a good experience of what's going on. The activities that's going on round about the stadium, round about the City of London, you can very much, and they normally do something round about the UK, the hype builds up to it, so, and as well watching it, it's on at more accessible times for us, so it more gets your people that maybe wouldn't watch before, gets them interested as well, so it's a brilliant thing for the sport.
Am I right in saying this year it's on ITV as opposed to the BBC, so this will be the first time for that, so that's going to be interesting as well, but I can see myself cramping up on the couch this Sunday. Far too much football, but that's an absolute lie. Never enough football on, so that's going to be good. Always a spectacle when the teams come over. I don't think the players like it. Saying that, they travel enough.
Yeah,
they travel enough in the States, but I think it's the time differences that's the main factor.
You're right. As you said, we always think it. I mean, I always think years ago I thought about it like, how can they come over here just to play one game? But you think about the distances they travel within their own country, from East Coast to West Coast, or wherever it may be you're playing your game. The climate's not massively different from some states. As it is difficult for teams like Miami coming over here, but it's just now became part of the game, and it's only going to grow. As you said, we might end up with a team in London. I think we both said at the start of the season it's looking more likely than not that will happen. Yeah,
and then we've got Munich coming up as well.
Exactly.
It'd be great to try and get someone from German correspondence on the show and discuss how much of a factor it is over that side of Europe.
Yeah.
But it was brilliant. We went down, like, even the food, I think they catered the food towards how it should be, like the way they do it in America. Beers in the stands, stuff like that. And then coming out as well, do you know what I loved? You said there about the game being on a wee bit earlier. When we came out, I know that you had to shoot off to get the train up the road, but they had the big screen outside. They had the Bud Light tent under it, just sitting having a few beers, playing my fantasy football, Red Zone on the big screen. It was a great experience.
As you said, you could comfortably go down there without a ticket and sit in those areas, watch the games and soak up the atmosphere. So you'd advise MD about that area, to go and soak up the atmosphere. Even if you've not got a ticket, go and enjoy it.
Why not?
Exactly. On another kind of subject on the side of that, just a wee bit of fun, that the NFL, you sent me something earlier, the NFL replacing the Pro Bowl with a multi-skills competition. It's similar, NBA does the same. I think that could work a lot better. I think the Pro Bowl, I don't know what it's like in America. It'd be interesting if we had Troy or any other Americans come on and told us what can happen, but I never ever thought there was any sort of appetite towards the Pro Bowl. I think it was watched, but is MD really talking about it? Is MD really that interested?
No, I think it's a damn squib, really. I don't think the players like it. I don't think the fans really like it at all. Like you said there, the NBA, you've got 3-point challenge, you've got slam dunk challenge. These things go down in history, and especially when we're living in a day and age of viral videos. These are the type of things that produce these sort of viral videos, if you know what I mean. It makes for good marketing for the leagues. But the Pro Bowl was everything that's not good about American football. We watch it for the aggression, the violence, the physicality, the competitiveness of both teams. There's just none of that whatsoever. It's just it's not good to watch. But I think they're going to replace it with a sort of flag football style game, which I don't even know how that's going to go. But I know we spoke about it when the Chelsea owner, you were saying earlier, last week had said about he wanted a sort of North versus South English Premier League game, and even that wouldn't go well at all. It'd be like a non-contact game.
Nah, I think the thing I kind of seen was most Premiership managers kind of pouring cold water on it. A lot saying that, and we won't go too into it, but a lot saying it would be a good idea in theory, but with the amount of games that are played, players wouldn't want it. And it's like these charity games. I remember they used to do like Europe v the rest of the world, and players don't really try. They don't throw themselves into tackles. They don't really want to play in these games. So I don't like things like that. I think you are better with what the NBA do as a sort of fun challenge. We see it's something a bit different, because you you can't come close to a competitive game, can you?
Nah, especially the NFL when the type of sport it is and why we like it. Like, there's just, I don't know. I think they're just trying to do what they can to change it. Taking place in Las Vegas, they should get them to just come straight from the night out the night before. That would make for great entertainment.
Don't know how that would go.
That definitely would go well. If I don't know how you would determine well, but my type of well, it'd be a good laugh. But they should do. I don't know how they would spice it up. Like, I always want to know who's the fastest. Do you not find that? Like, it would be great to see 100 metres. I know everything's very analytical, and he's sort of covered the fastest ground in the pitch. I think Tyreek Hill's the fastest at the moment.
Yep.
And I remember one of the stats saying that if he competed at the Beijing Olympics in the 200 metre final, he would have finished fourth in one of the games a few years back. But something along the lines where you've got the wide receivers or the running backs racing just to see who's the quickest, that would entertain me.
Moving on, last kind of subject on the kind of NFL side we're going to do. Super Bowl, you're a big fan of her, Rihanna?
Yep, got all her albums.
Yep.
I'm a lying.
Rihanna been announced this week. Do you think she'll be taking a bow at the Super Bowl?
Oh God, I just ponder replay. Let's run that one back. Nah, I don't know. It's one of these ones. Folk aren't going to be happy. I remember when Maroon 5 were announced a couple of years ago, and everyone was like, "Come on, turn it up!" But nothing will beat last year's. For me, I'm a big rap fan. Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige. Last year just can't be topped. So I don't know what they were going to do this year that was going to.
I know. In terms of the lineup, I'm agreeing with you. I think those guys are the kind of greatest of all time in that genre, apart from the ones that are dead. But my favourite one was Bruce Springsteen a few years ago. Big fan of the Boss.
I'm going to make a confession here. I just can't take to Bruce Springsteen. People might be shocked by that because I think about 99.9% of the world love him. I just can't take to him. But I'm just thinking about Rihanna. What if it rains?
Shut up and drive.
What if it rains?
Umbrella?
Yes. I seen a good tweet earlier, and it was saying, how expensive is it to have kids? Even Rihanna's having to go back to work.
But I can't believe you're saying you don't like Bruce Springsteen.
It's not that I don't like him, I just can't take to him. I don't know what it is. But now when we look back at the historical performances, Michael Jackson, I think it was 92, 94, something like that. That's one that stands out for me. Prince, brilliant as well. But if my wife's listening and she's got to this stage, she'll be a wee bit shocked here. Beyonce, Destiny's Child and all that came out. Why are you looking at me like that? Come on. Were you not entertained? Starting to sound like Russell Crowe here.
No, I do think it's a big part of this, even if it's announced, and I'm not a massive fan of Rihanna. I'm not, well past her sell-by date. There was a time when she was, I'm not saying she's not a big act, obviously she's a huge act, but I was the same when they announced Maroon 5. I thought, that's just not me. That's not...
Nah, I like Maroon 5.
You can't take the Bruce Springsteen with Maroon 5.
Oh, come on, man. Adam Levine. No. We can't really get into that right now.
No, let's not.
The big man loves that supermodel.
Let's not. So let's finish off by talking about where our fantasy team's sitting just now. You're sitting pretty good at this stage, aren't you?
2-1.
Yep.
We're both on 2-1 now. You're 1-2.
I'm 1-2.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. You're not in my league, son. I need more out my running backs. They were my first and second picks, Najee Harris and Mixon. If not, I don't know. Would I move them on? I don't know. Gabe Davis, I tipped him heavily on this pod. Once again, first week started like a house on fire. Second week out injured. Yesterday scored something like 6.3 points. That's not good enough. I need more. Juju hanging on. Curtis Samuel's been a good pickup, but now my two guys, Chris Olave and Devonta Smith, they're going to be on my team next week. These two guys look like they're starting to get going.
Yeah.
And what about yours?
I mean, obviously it was big getting a win. I didn't feel as if anything was really going my way. early on, and looked as if for a large part I was predicted to lose all week the points, and then even during the day it was at times it was looking good for me, but generally it was looking very tough. A couple of touchdowns put it right in my direction. So narrowly got the win. So it looks a lot better. That's the thing. Your outlook changes completely after one win, doesn't it?
Yeah. And tell me this, right? Big question. Is Emmanuel Sanders starting next week?
He's doing the team meetings, he's presenting.
Good morning, Shugboat.
But my team as well, probably I'm the same. I'm not getting enough at my running backs. Wide receivers, I know Hill didn't have the greatest game at the weekend or the most points he could have got, but I'm reasonably happy with wide receivers. Kirk, who you spoke about, stepped up. Probably need a bit of depth now there since I've been doing so much trading. Yeah. But starting to take shape as well. But to be honest with you, you look around the teams and there's a few that look really strong in the league, but it's very, very even. Everybody can have their day.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jordan's going to go to 3-0. He might be the only one. Martin going to 0-3.
Yep.
Sorry, Martin. I'm looking round, it's looking tight, and this is the beauty of it. This is why we love it. Division 2 and the league's looking good as well, very competitive. I think we've got Ali looking like he's run away with that, but no, I think this week it's one of these weeks where maybe 1 and 2 is not too bad with Khalil Herbert sitting there on waivers. I think he's going to be a very good pickup, considering how few and far between running backs are just now.
Yeah.
And it's the ones that don't tend to be the most predictable that are coming up with the points. I think we spoke about it the whole show, so maybe not the worst thing getting a decent pickup in the waiver wires. Even Romeo Dobbs, I dropped him. I think he got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Shot myself in the foot. I caught my team end Dobbs.
I think I've been finding myself, like, you start to overthink it, don't you? And especially if I think if you go 0-3, then it becomes 0-4, and you really start to panic, and you're second guessing every sort of decision. Because at the weekend there, I got a few wrong. To be honest with you, there's always a chance at it, but just done enough to get over the line. So I think I know it's all a bit of fun, but it takes a wee bit of pressure off you when you get that win, or you get yourself in a decent position. But still a long way to go, isn't there? You
want to hang there. You want to hang in there. And like we said in last week's podcast, it's if you go 0-3, I've went 0-6 before and won my next 6. Drew last year, I think, lost his first 4 games.
Yep.
Went on to win it. Don't worry about it. Pick up well in the waivers. Try and do a wee bit of trading, and you'll do all right. Like, do not chuck it. It is the number one thing not to do in fantasy football. Do not chuck it. Set your team at least. It's the honourable thing to do.
Yeah, as you said, it's easy done, isn't it? You lose heart, and then but we keep at it. But as I said, big win for me. The league is wide open. You start to look up rather than looking down. So we'll see how next week goes.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Who have you got next week?
Who have I got?
I've got Derek.
Oh, Derek.
Tough opponent. That guy knows his stuff.
I have got... should know this, but I work week by week.
One game at a time.
I've got Steve-O to play, so a tough one as well.
Nah, tough opponent. Yeah, so... no, it is. It's wide open.
Yep.
But that's how good it is. That's why we love fantasy football.
Exactly.
Been another good week.
Oh, it's been brilliant. It seems as if it's went quite quickly chatting through this. I don't know just the 2 but we've held the fort anyway.
Yeah, we have. So till Thursday.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, and it's not you on Thursday?
No, I'm missing on Thursday due to work commitments. So
we'll get a wee guest in for that.
Get a guest in, enjoy it. I'll be back on next week. But thanks again for being superb on here, Kieran, the founding father.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it as ever. And big thanks to our sponsors once again, G4 Claims. We'll put the link in the description. And as ever, please subscribe, please like. Even if you like us enough to give us a rating, why not? Absolutely. But yeah, let's get the numbers up. We're enjoying it, so I hope you guys are too. And I was going to say it's late at night, so I'm going to watch your driving. Hopefully we get back safely, but if not, G4 Claims, we can give them a phone. They'll sort us out, I'm sure. That's it. Notatfaultclaim.com. Not at fault claims. Made easy. I've been desperate to do that for weeks. Thanks again for listening, guys. See you next week.